Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and this is Syed from Noon Computers. In this video, I am going to show you in detail about how to replace an FPC connector. One of the common problem we technicians face is FPC connector damage, which is caused while doing service or by the customer's mishandling. Another problem we face is the availability of FPC connector in the market. Most of the times we have to extract the FPC connector from another donor board, which can be very tricky as it is mostly made of plastic. If we are not very careful, we will damage the connector. In this video, I'll show you some tricks by which you can remove any FPC connector without melting or damaging it. Let me take you to my writing screen in order to show you some tips and tricks for extracting the FPC connector without melting. I'll show you a demonstration by simply drawing a diagram on the writing board. Okay. Let me draw a FPC connector. Let's assume that this is an FPC connector which we are going to extract from the motherboard in order to replace our damaged motherboard, and just a simple drawing to demonstrate. And let's assume this is the motherboard on which the FPC connector is placed. What we generally do is we take our hot air gun and start to start to heat this area in order to extract the FPC connector, which is a very big mistake. What happens is the top of the connector starts to melt while heating this FPC connector. Let's name it method 1. What I'm now going to show is a proper way to remove a FPC connector or any other component, not only FPC connector. FPC connector is made of plastic, so we have to take extra care. Okay, and let's assume this is the motherboard. The first thing we should consider is we don't have to heat the FPC connector itself. If you try to heat this area, that is the FPC connector area, or even this area, if you try to heat means, but particularly this area, it will surely melt. What we have to do is, first of all, we should preheat the board. Preheat, and we have to heat this whole area. Okay, number one point or number one tip. Okay, generally at 250 degrees Celsius for preheating. Okay, whatever we do, whatever work we do on the motherboard, we have to just preheat the motherboard so that we don't accidentally, or we don't give a shock to the motherboard or the component. This is applicable for removing ICs also. Okay, then what we have to do is we have to gradually revolve the hot air gun, and then we have to gradually take it closer and closer and closer. After a few minutes, we have to increase the temperature to 300 or 320 degrees Celsius, not more than that. Okay, so that the whole area liquefies. The one thing we have to get in the mind is we don't want to liquefy the connector area. The connector pads. We have to liquefy the soldering in the whole area so that we can easily extract the connector. Another thing is when you see the soldering pads has been liquefied, that is, you have heated enough. Okay, you have to take off the connector from the motherboard. Generally, what we do is, let me show another. Let's consider is a 3D view of the FPC connector. Okay, FPC connector is placed like this, and we are heating from this direction. After enough heating, we take our tweezers and take sorry we take our tweezers and lift the connector upward. What this will do is this will expose the connector directly to the hot air, which also melts. So we should never do that. We should never take up the connector. That is, we should never separate the board and connector at once, so that the air from the hot air from the hot air gun melts the temperature. I mean, melts the connector. Instead of doing that, what you have to do is you have to move it in the sideways. Okay, so that it will make a contact with the motherboard. The motherboard will absorb the heat instead of the connector, and your connector will be extracted 100% without melting or without any damaging of the pads. First, let's remove the connector from the motherboard which has been damaged. It's a OnePlus 3 mobile. And after removing the connector, we will we will extract the connector from the donor board. Now this is the board from which we are going to extract the connector. It's an old subboard or a charging connector board from which we are going to extract the connector. As I told earlier, you can clearly notice that I am extracting the FPC connector sideways. This ensures that the extracted FPC connector does not get damaged by the hot air. Now let's prepare the motherboard for soldering the extracted FPC connector. Now it's time to install the extracted FPC connector to the motherboard. It's just the same process, but we have to do it in the reverse. can now see that we have successfully changed the FPC connector without damaging it. It looks like a brand new connector. All the legs have been soldered properly. That's it for the video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe to our channel. If you have any queries, let me know in the comments. Contact Noon Computers for any chip level mobile repairs. Contact details will be given in the description. Thank you for watching the video, guys.